Hello everyone, in this video, I'll be discussing vitamin D and Hashimoto's disease. What is known as of 2024? I get asked a lot about vitamin D, so I figured there would be 3 people who probably watched it. One who has Hashimoto's disease, but still feels bad. Another who has the disease but knows their vitamin D level is low. And a third who has the disease and feels bad, even after taking vitamin D. So let's discuss all 3 of those situations and what is known about vitamin D and Hashimoto's disease in 2024. So, Hashimoto's and vitamin D, naturally, the most prevalent organ-specific autoimmune disease and the main cause of hypothyroidism is Hashimoto's thyroiditis. I have other videos that go into more detail about the hypothyroidism, but the most important thing to understand about vitamin D and Hashimoto is that it is an autoimmune condition. Based on what the researchers have shown, we can conclude that, in the first place, vitamin D regulates and modulates your immune system, which is beneficial for your immune system and generally promotes immune system tolerance. As an autoimmune condition like Hashimoto, tolerance is beneficial because, in other words, when your immune system attacks you, it can no longer tolerate your tissues. This is why vitamin D promotes tolerance. In general, vitamin D is immune system modulatory, immune system regulatory, and it is generally beneficial for autoimmune conditions like Hashimoto. The second thing we know from research is that vitamin D levels are lower in Hashimoto patients compared to people who don't have Hashimoto. I can verify this information. I had intended to say this later, but I'll say it now. About 99% of the patients with Hashimoto's disease have low vitamin D levels, and I can demonstrate this as well. What does lower mean, though? It could mean they're deficient, meaning they're under 30 or 25, or it could mean they're 35. But we already know that individuals with Hashimoto's disease have lower vitamin D than the general population. This is significant because vitamin D helps to regulate the immune system, and patients with Hashimoto's disease will have more compromised immune systems. More asymmetrical, more inflammatory, Unfortunately, many well-meaning endocrinologists and primary care physicians are either unaware of this, or if they are, they believe it's not that big of a deal. I'm here to tell you it is, and it is definitely something that needs to be addressed. All right, so let's talk about what vitamin D does. First, we know that patients with Hashimoto's disease have lower vitamin D levels. Second, research has shown that vitamin D deficiency, in particular, lowers thyroid antibody levels. Okay, thus, let us examine a few points there. When it comes to vitamin D supplements, you don't just take any dose you want. Rather, you base it on your baseline level. We won't go into that here. Currently, antibody levels can drop, which is something we like, but it doesn't always mean that you'll feel better. Antibody levels fluctuate over time, and while we do want them to be as low as possible, a high level can lead to a cross-reaction issue, which is essentially the spread of your autoimmune problem into other tissues. However, we are aware that supplementation lowers antibody levels in those with Hashimoto's disease who were vitamin D deficient, which, based on my experience, is good evidence that it will now have a positive effect on your immune system. As I mentioned a moment ago, nearly all of the Hashimoto patients generally have low vitamin D levels. Note that I did not say that they are deficient because that depends on the lab you're using. Therefore, vitamin D levels below 25 nanograms per milliliter can be deficient, or they could be 20 depending on the lab. But even 30 isn't good for a vitamin D 35 because we want your immune system to be regulated. I'm making it sound like vitamin D is really fantastic, but what I advise for almost all of my patients is to be at least in their 60s or 70s, and that's not a high level. It's not a dangerous level, and it's an easily reachable level if you supplement correctly. But here's the thing, when we're trying to help someone with Hashimoto's disease, I don't recommend using vitamin D as the only intervention. This brings me to a part of the video that you probably won't like, where I warn you against treating yourself. There are 2 main reasons you shouldn't treat yourself. First, you don't know your baseline level, so you don't know how much to take or when to retest. All right, so number 2, Taking vitamin D by itself is probably not going to change everything and make you feel 100% better. After all, if you're watching this video, there's a good chance that you're not feeling well, even though you've been taking medication and your TSH may appear normal, but you may still be suffering from depression or brain fog, GI issues, and exhaustion. So if you're watching this closely, vitamin D probably won't be the solution. This gets me to a more important point, though, which is that providing excellent patient care requires considering factors other than vitamin D. Sadly, I can attest from personal experience that there are many who claim to practice functional medicine. They may even be MDs or something else entirely. But all they actually accomplish is provide people with vitamin D, which isn't particularly functional. It's not that wonderful, but it is a tiny bit better than the usual junk. What matters most is to consider things like potential food-related issues. What are your defense mechanisms, such as immunity system fingerprint? Do you have any infections that you are unaware of? Do you have any other autoimmune conditions that we may check for? Hence, they should be able to order and interpret the appropriate tests. They don't put you on some kind of predetermined program. And while vitamin D may be included in the program, it's more complicated than that. That being said, here is what we know in 2024 about vitamin D. Vitamin D regulates the immune system, which is a good thing. Vitamin D deficiency is associated with lower levels of vitamin D in Hashimoto's patients, and supplementing with vitamin D lowers antibody levels in Hashimoto's patients, which is generally a good thing but doesn't always correspond with how you feel. That is the main focus of the research. It's much more complicated than you're ready for, so don't try to treat yourself according to experience. Instead, work with someone who understands the complexity and has dealt with a variety of Hashimoto patients. I hope that this answered some of your problems and was useful. Thank you for watching this video on vitamin D and Hashimoto's. 4 things to know, and a warning from Health Angel Solutions. We hope you found the information helpful in managing your health journey. Remember, understanding the role of vitamin D can be crucial for those with Hashimoto's. Please leave a remark below if you have any queries or stories to share. Don't forget to like this video, share it with anyone who might benefit, and subscribe to our channel for more health tips and insights. Stay healthy and informed with Health Angel Solutions.